Welcome to the Digital Nomads Podcast. We're here to give you the latest insights on everything digital from inside the agency.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a different episode because we aren't having a single topic. We're just going to fire off,
rattle off a few things,
different things, and see where it goes, see where it takes us. So new format. We'll give it a go. Do you want to start? What have you got on your list?
Let's start with important metrics to measure in an SEO campaign.
Sure.
Like things to look at, how to know whether your campaign that you may be investing in already or doing yourself is actually performing and going the way you want it to.
Yep.
So yeah, key things to look at.
Yep.
Obviously,
segue straight from the conversation we're just having.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, key thing you want to look at is organic traffic, obviously.
Yep.
That's the ultimate goal of SEO is to increase traffic to your website.
Yep.
So you want to be looking at making sure you're seeing traffic increases based on your keyword rankings, which is another metric. But yeah,
sure.
Organic traffic, making sure that you're getting more users, more sessions on your website month on month. Key factor to look at.
I do. There was something that we were also looking at, and pull this into a different conversation potentially, but you also need to be aware of, from an SEO campaign and, business aside as well, not business aside, business included, it's when you're looking at things like your traffic and it's coming through to your website, the traffic is obviously a key identifier of the result that you're getting from an SEO campaign, but you need to ensure that the traffic that is coming or the traffic that is coming to your website is from relevant keywords as well, and not just falsifying traffic through to the website. But then not looking at your conversion or revenue for your business and necessarily attributing that to your traffic. Yeah. Australia, we talk Australia, I say Australia, internationally at the moment, business is tough. Business is tough for a lot of different industries. I was looking at some metrics earlier today about the retail goods sales at an all-time low, like 0.1% over the March quarter. This is extremely low results. We're talking 3-4% decline in construction and building, cost of living that we're talking about. We're talking about, consumer price index. There's a lot of factors that are happening with inflation, cost of living, and so on. So even though that you may be seeing an increase in your traffic, you may not see an increase in conversions. That doesn't mean that your SEO is not working. Yeah. That can just be that consumer behavior in the market. Yeah. So that's a really interesting one that is something that you do need to measure in your SEO campaign. You measure your metrics and measure the success of the ranking and how you're performing. Yeah. 100%. But also understanding the market and understanding what's happening and the behavior around consumers in their purchasing behavior at this moment in time due to the economy. The US, I think the US at the moment still say that they're not in a recession, yet the EU state that they are in a recession. It's, a little bit up in the air. But then looking at the marketing performance and saying, well, my metrics show positive, yet my conversions show negative. Yeah. So it's an interesting one to always take your SEO metrics for one measure and then looking at the business side of things and how consumers are spending as that secondary measure. Yeah.
And it's, I think another thing just to go on to piggyback off that.
Yeah, go for it.
Is that, looking at traffic and meanwhile your traffic could be up that month, but conversions are down. Yeah. Yeah, having that understanding of the consumer, like the climate, like outside of just your business and your SEO campaign, having that understanding. But I think it's also, we've had clients at the moment in the same case of, conversions are down slightly this month. It's end of financial year, the traffic's up. So it's important to note that. Yeah. But also think about it in the fact of like people are still coming to your website as a source of information. So you're top of mind for when they are ready to make that purchase. Yeah. So there's a few layers to it, and
I don't think the consumer's going to stay in this situation at the moment of where they are talking about relief coming, and we're going into a economy conversation now, but have at it. They do talk about relief coming. They do talk about in Australia we've had tax rate reductions and
money for electricity.
Money,
Saw that today.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that's great.
So they are trying to provide relief, which will help kind of, stimulate the economy. But at this moment in time, it is still tough. But that doesn't mean that the marketing isn't working. That just means that the consumer might not be there. But when it does come round, your marketing is still in a strong position. So
and it's important to continue to invest in your marketing so that you are still present on Google or in any other channel when people are ready to make that desired action to inquire or purchase.
For sure. I think that's always an interesting one, right? It's like when the consumer behavior stops investing into products, services or goods or whichever that might be. And then businesses obviously make the decision. Panic is one thing, but make the decision to then take the foot off the gas with marketing because of the reduction. It's almost like you're falling 20% and then you take your marketing out and you're falling another 20% because you've reduced that. It can be scary. I'm not saying not to do that if you're in a position of where financially you need to, but it's just being aware of how the market swings. So anyway.
Yeah. So traffic. Conversions, important to metrics to keep an eye on. Another one is engaged session duration.
Yep.
Especially with the algorithm leak, which we've discussed.
Yep.
Looking at that metric and seeing the amount of time users are spending on your site and on your pages is key to understanding that, obviously that page is answering that search query. Also your design is engaging, which is all metrics that Google looks at and favors if, people are spending time on your website, reading your content, navigating through the website. It's a key ranking factor that Google takes into account. So
for sure.
And then if it is low, you can have a look at, okay, maybe the content on that page isn't really relevant, isn't answering that search query, or maybe the design and how the content is put forward to the user is boring. That's an area of opportunity to rehash the content and rehash the design of the page to make it that bit more engaging for a user so that they are staying on the site.
Makes sense.
So that's
cool.
That's another key metric.
Nice. All right, pivoting from that, we'll talk, I've got another one listed down here on AI overviews. What's your thoughts on it?
It hasn't rolled out in Australia yet.
No, we've got a couple of little snippets of it.
Yeah, a few snippets. I've seen a few articles and LinkedIn posts of when it first got released, and it was putting out some.
Well, it lent on Reddit.
Yeah,
and a lot of Reddit or sort of forum based. Problem is that a lot of the forums have a particular humor or a particular behavior in the way in which that they write. Exactly. So, it rolled out really quickly and was providing a lot of answers that obviously didn't align with the actual questions.
No.
Which was interesting. And obviously what's happened from there is there's been a huge rollback from Google in the US predominantly, being that it was one of the biggest testing spaces for it. I got some metrics written down here they were saying new study shows like 60% of searches ended without a click. That's huge. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's almost like Google has realized that this has affected the way that people use SERP or use their search engine. So they've had to kind of reverse this, especially when the data that's coming through isn't answering the queries that people are looking for or not answering them factually correct. So that's been interesting. And but they've dialed it back. So at the moment, the recent study, I think this was from SE Ranking, did a study and they were saying 8% of queries now end in AI overviews. So only 8% of searches, generally they're the long tail searches. So anything that is more than, I guess, 4 keywords. The reason that they'll do that is because when you're looking at long tail keywords, it's a lot easier for the AI or the LLM to be able to understand what's being asked. So they can kind of fact check it more accurately rather than when you've got these broad terms. It struggles.
Put together a overview.
So they've pulled it back, which is interesting. But obviously they're doing it because they're seeing the backlash and the share drop and everything else that went with it.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes.
And I guess with the AI overviews, once it is rolled out completely in Australia, I did read an article about the future of SEO with that.
Yeah.
So obviously with that, there will be an increase in long-tailed keyword, like more searches, more people will be searching queries that are the long-tailed version.
Well, we can see that already.
Which we can already see, but I feel like that will continue to increase because the way people will use Google would be different rather than just searching two words to find an answer.
Yeah.
They can be that bit more specific and get an answer straight away.
I think that's the idea behind it, isn't it? That when people are using AI at the moment, it trains you to be conversational with it being a person, so to speak. Like it teaches you to speak to it like a person.
Yeah. And super specific as well.
Yeah, because if you don't get specific on it, that it just gives you a load of rubbish. Yeah. Exactly. So you kind of like compensate for it in a way of where you give it more information than potentially it needs. Yeah. You want to make sure that it gives you the right information back. Yeah. Which is training us to, or user behavior is leaning towards those long tail keywords because of that. Which makes sense. So we're seeing that through keyword data as well. A lot of keyword data is coming through now with those long form or long tail keywords. Yeah. Or Q&As as well.
Which is where blog content is key for businesses.
Yep. Yeah. And those short, there was another thing that I was doing some research on though, was leaning around the use of those questions potentially down the track of where you've got these subject matters that can be answered via AI, is that whether you then need to create blogs or articles to speak to that anymore. It's kind of an interesting thing. So, whether you take broad subject matters of, what's digital marketing, it's like, why would you need to have a company now write about what is digital marketing when that is a phrase that can be replicated and easily replicated or replaced with AI?
But then where does AI get that information from?
Well, at the moment, it's got a lot of information that it understands what digital marketing is. It's got, data.
But that's based on blog content though, right?
Yeah, but it's already got enough blog content to be able to articulate what that is. Do you know what I mean? It's like how a car changes doesn't change a lot, right? It's got four wheels. Yeah. Potentially in 50 years' time it might be a little bit different, but generally speaking, the car's always got four wheels. Yeah. So the idea that digital marketing is going to change, it's changing, but it's not that digital marketing is changing. It's like the individual services are changing within digital marketing. Yeah. So affiliate marketing is changing, but what's changing in affiliate marketing? Or referral channels are changing, but what's changing in that? So that's where the granular questions come in, and that's where the blog content comes in. Yeah. But the what is SEO isn't something that we need blog content for anymore, because people don't want to go into a 5,000-10,000 word blog article to read about what is SEO, when realistically an AI overview can give it a summary within 500 words. Yeah. That's all that the user needs. If they're looking for anything more granular than that, they would then be searching long tail keywords. Yeah. So short tail broad keywords will potentially be replaced by AI overviews or AI in general for that reasoning, because it is something that is easily answered, concisely and accurately. Yeah. Whereas granular insight, long tail keywords that requires depth and expertise is a lot harder to replicate and replace.
And make concise as well.
And make concise, exactly right. Especially that's like the other one that I saw we were talking about was like how to set up an email on it was on like Google or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it was just a general email setup. Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was how to reset your Mac. Oh yeah. Right? It's a step-by-step process. It's not going to change. Sure, it changes each year potentially, but realistically it's got a structure and formula to it. It's just you do X, Y, Z. That can be replaced. You don't need a blog post for that anymore. So
that is true. That would be actually really handy. The amount of times I've Googled something, and it's like, you're looking you know what the worst one is? Yeah, recipes. Yeah, or like how to cook a pork knuckle, and like you land on this massive blog, a whole backstory of how this thing was
gist. Found. And then the recipe is right down the very bottom because they want to engage or increase engagement sessions or get their AdSense through, because you got to scroll to the bottom and go through 20 ads so that they've made $1.50 out of you scrolling through the how to cook your pork. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're talking about. Yeah. And that's the idea behind where AI comes in. It replaces that. It replaces that requirement to have to scroll through 5,000 to 6,000 words of keyword stuffing to try and rank the article.
Yeah.
Versus just answering the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it can't answer the question, then think about that. And that's where the blog content can come in and be that, not replacement, but where blog content is relevant.
Yeah.
And that's potentially that difference there.
Yeah. So I feel like that would be not big, but like a bit of a shift in SEO strategies for clients moving forward.
Keyword research is totally different.
It's going to continue to change.
Expert keyword research is totally different.
Yeah.
Because keyword research can be easy. Can be easy.
Yeah.
You can be looking at high volume, low KD, grab as much traffic as you can, or you can look for something that's actually going to have some tangible value behind. Exactly.
Other podcasts about the revenue.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AI overviews as well.
Mm-hmm.
Once that rolls out, I did read something about how, because it is rolled out in America at the moment, and businesses are seeing obviously a reduction in their organic traffic to their website.
Hugely.
Due to what we just basically said.
But we should see that turnaround.
Yeah.
Because of that reduction now from the dial back.
Yeah.
So.
But I did read there will be an increase in something what's called a zero-click search. Yeah. So, which is basically an impression.
Yeah.
So that will potentially be another key metric to measure in an SEO campaign once it's rolled out, especially for us in Australia, of making sure that, obviously impressions are good because it doesn't necessarily get you that tangible, person to your website to convert, but it has that, it's an impression and it's that awareness for a user. So, if you're publishing content, people are reading it, it's coming up in an AI overview with digital nomads, your business there, people are going to quickly realize, okay, these people obviously know what they're doing, they're experts in the industry, and then potentially have that cross-sell to inquire. So that was interesting, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely. The zero-click strategy is definitely quite a in-depth marketing strategy that a lot of people are also talking about outside of it. But I think the zero-click is a concept that will happen within the AI overviews. But like Google's always going to want to make sure that whatever they roll out is going to be viable and valuable, both aspects. So
wants to just improve the user experience ultimately. So
definitely.
Awesome.
All right. We'll leave it at that today. I think that's enough.
No more topics.
No more topics. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for our next episode.